Hey all, Scott here. Sorry you just caught me putting all this money I've made to good use. I'm using it as a toothpick. I've gone absolutely fucking nowhere doing this. But thank God I invested in the cardboard industry as soon as I did. That thing skyrocketed in 2018 for no reason. But I'm not complaining. It's fun to be a part of something. For example, as a part of the cardboard industry, I have these fun little rivalries with others. Check it out.
Hello, you've reached Styrofoam Productions.
Hi, yeah, I'd like some packing peanuts. Hold the packing. I'm a fucking maniac.
Well, he sure got me.
Well, since I've made $70 from my investment, I think it's only fitting to see why exactly cardboard's the hot new thing now. Oh, it's a stupid Nintendo thing. Well, lucky for me, all I talk about is stupid Nintendo things. And it's $70! Deals as hot as this are blatantly arson! Nintendo Labo. Other than sharing its name with part of the female anatomy, it's been making rounds as one of Nintendo's most interesting and creative ventures in recent memory. Labo is a series of DIY construction kits where you're supplied perforated cardboard and other random doodads to put together with on-screen instructions to create some crazy contraptions called Toy-Con to use with the Nintendo Switch console and Joy-Con controllers. Now, the initial release of Nintendo Labo was on April 20th, haha. Two separate kits came out, being Toy-Con 1, the Variety Kit, and Toy-Con 2, the Robot Kit. Now, I personally was always more interested in the Variety Kit, I don't know about anybody else. The Variety Kit not only started at a still horrifying $69.99, $10 cheaper than the Robot Kit, but comes with 5 main Toy-Con to create, which is just more interesting to me than making one robot suit. Plus, there's more room for creativity and customization with these things, but I'll get to that in a bit. Maybe in the future I'll take a look at the Robot Kit, but for now we're keeping things strictly all Variety Kit all the time. Here we are, Nintendo Labo. Opening this box up, we're greeted to the software, and I think we all need to write a thank you letter to Nintendo for making Nintendo Labo boxes black. Fits like a glove. Actually, I'm okay with this. It seems that Nintendo wants to distance Labo from their regular Nintendo Switch games as much as possible. They'd rather this be seen as a creative toy for kids and their families rather than a hot new video game release. Picking up this layer reveals where my $70 went. Yeah, cardboard. Apparently Nintendo scrapped the idea of using animal hides and went with a more socially acceptable option. As you can see, each of these sheets of cardboard have perforated marks, perfectly allowing for easy pop-out action. We also get this bag of goodies, including some string, reflective and cushiony stickers, and a few other bits and pieces to help these things come to life. After popping the cartridge in, we have to take the training wheels off by making a Joy-Con holder. What a turnoff, I was promised real pianos made out of cardboard. Here we're introduced to the make part of Labo's Make, Play, Discover chant. All the directions on how to put together these things are displayed on screen and can be manipulated. You can zoom in, scroll around, it's incredibly useful, and I want to see more instructions like this with smartphone apps or something. I mean, it's so much harder to screw up when you can twist and turn the product in 3D. Not only this, but Nintendo went above and beyond with these models. Check out the cardboard on these bad boys. Also, the Joy-Con displayed on screen correlates with the color Joy-Con you're using, a nice touch. Alright, after putting together the freebie Toy-Con, we have free range. We get to go effing nuts here. The game suggests starting with the RC car, which only takes an estimated 10 minutes to go from cardboard to Roadhog. As you can see, the other projects take quite a bit more time, so why not? Let's whet our appetite with this thing. This is definitely the easiest Toy-Con to put together. Just a few folds and blam, we're golden. It was so simple, Nintendo felt the need to include this antenna to put on your Switch to make it seem like it's a real-life remote control. We pop this on, and our Nintendo Switch console is finally a part of a cult. The RC car uses the HD rumble in each of the Joy-Con to move around, so time for a test drive. Oh my god, I did this! I'm a fucking genius! I don't need this anymore! It's not perfect, but it works. We can open the hood and change the frequency of the rumble and have a race that ends if the car falls down. Moving on to the most complicated Toy-Con, the piano. This thing takes the longest time out of all the creations in the Variety Kit. Personally, I had to finish it in 2 sittings. A pussy. That's me. This is where we get to use the reflective tape included with the kit, as it's plopped on the piano keys so the right Joy-Con's IR camera can read it and thus tell the Switch which notes to blurt out. The piano uses the entirety of the largest sticker sheet, so hope your weekend plans didn't depend on this thing. During the build process, the piano keys were super sloppy and loose. It was really concerning me just because every promo for Labo made it seem that these keys would be wicked tight, but instead it felt like I was playing a piano with fish sticks for keys. But near the end, everything started to come together and the keys felt fine. That's That's part of the fun of Labo, seeing things come together. It was so satisfying to put together certain things, not knowing what purpose they had, and then seeing it transform by the might of your own hands. It's really cool. And finally, the piano is done, and yeah, it's definitely a piano, alright. We can insert these knobs to change up the instruments, and we can also open up a music creation studio. Now, I am the least musically viable soul on the planet, so it's just cool to me that the cardboard's making noise. At the time of Labo's release, Nintendo has yet to put up any of their classic games on the Switch, so let it be known, the Switch can't play Donkey Kong Jr. Math, but it can play Hot Cross Buns. The fishing rod, easily one of the most satisfying to put together. I think this is just the right length and amount of work for a toy con, lengthy enough to be a memorable experience, but not too long where you're about to pass out by step 3. And here we are in the fishing game. It's fishing, alright. You just keep on fishing until you get 3 fish and then start all over again. Sometimes your line breaks, but there's no penalty. You can get a shark, just like you can get a college degree. The string here is completely unnecessary, it's solely here for immersion. A Joy-Con in your handle detects where you're moving the pole, and the Joy-Con here is to detect the spinning. Look at this, the line lines up with the line. Labo, you've done it again. The motorcycle is honestly one of the most fun to control. You smack the end onto your gut, start the engine, turn the handlebars, start twisting all around. By Jove, you got yourself a cardboard motorcycle. All the Joy-Con do here is detect the motion, and the buttons on the bars here actually just hit the shoulder buttons on the Joy-Con. In my opinion, I had no problems controlling this thing. I thought it felt great, especially with the HD rumble of the Joy-Con. You have a few cups to race through. They're simply just organized by beginner, intermediate, and expert, and each of them have 3 one-lap tracks to race in. I had a good time with them, but they all look the same, and I got first place on everything in my first try. One sec, gotta update my Tinder profile. I think the game is programmed to be in your favor. I mean, I randomly get a burst of speed out of nowhere, throwing me ahead of everybody. Nobody ever comes close to passing me as long as I stay on the track. Editing tracks comes in 2 flavors. We can drive anywhere we please, and our trail will become the track, or in the stadium mode, where we try to pop as many balloons as possible in the time limit, we can create our own terrain by using the IR camera. This is a bit of a sloppy way of doing things, but I can drive on my foot! And finally, the house. This one was personally my least favorite to build. It was cool to build all these other things out of cardboard. I mean, a functional fishing rod, motorcycle, piano, RC car, all made out of cardboard? Witchcraft. This is just a house. I'm sitting in one right now, yawn. It does have some cool elements to it, but not one of my favorite builds. Now, the game associated with it is probably one of the deeper experiences in the Variety Kit. You mess around with this tumor on legs. It's almost like a pet simulation thing, but it's more so in the, I feel like drowning him today genre. You build these knobs you can insert into the house to interact with the creature. They all feel really natural, like there's this crank, a water faucet, a switch. It feels really cool to use them and see them affect the house. If you jam in multiple at a time, you can play some mini games where you get candies to feed the thing. Like I said, it's definitely one of the deepest games in the Variety Kit. That's not saying much. After everything's said and built, my god, your place is not gonna be a part of the Clean Plate Club. So many little bits of cardboard you had to punch out is gonna just completely devour your workspace. But there's still one more element to that Make, Play, Discover slogan we haven't looked at yet. Going into the Discover tab, we have loads of little tutorials that educate us as to how these contraptions work and how exactly to master them. After a few of these, the Toy-Con Garage opens up. This is definitely the most interesting aspect of Labo, as it allows you to have at it with the Joy-Con and program your own Toy-Con inventions. You just say, if the Joy-Con registers this happens. You can make music play, make the Joy-Con rumble, all kinds of things, allowing for so much creativity to blossom through. Nowadays, this sort of thing isn't for me personally. I've always loved creating things, but right now, creating things within Labo isn't super appealing to me personally, but back in the day as a kid, I would have been way into this. I would have loved to learn the ins and outs of this thing to try and make the coolest invention ever. So many people online have already exploited this part of Labo to the extreme, and it's absolutely fascinating. Now, this is a major reason why I said the Variety Kit is inherently more interesting than the robot one. Not only do you get more interesting contraptions to make, but the Toy-Con included with the Variety Kit lend themselves to be a lot more customizable and have a lot more wiggle room to do wacky things with Toy-Con Garage compared to the robot. Speaking of customization, we can't forget the customization set sold separately for $10 US. Thank God, I was worried my casket was gonna look bland. And that's Nintendo Labo, at least the Variety Kit. A lot of time goes into the make part, probably took me about 4 hours in total to make everything, and a lot of time can go into the Discover part. It's just completely optional and for the people who want to make their own Labo creations. That leaves the play section, which is so shallow. These games are done within a few minutes, and the problem is they didn't need to be. Why not include an arcade or time attack mode in the fishing game, trying to get the best fish under a time limit, or giving you a game over if your line breaks? You know, just small little mode additions like that to make the games more replayable. I basically see everything they have to offer the first time I play them after finishing building the Toy-Con. And that's my main problem with Labo. The games aren't replayable or deep enough to warrant having all this cardboard lying around that takes up a lot of space. Sure, we can throw a few things in the back of the piano, but the motorcycle, fishing rod, house, I mean, these are pretty much getting stored the way they are. I think it would have been beneficial if Nintendo developed these things to be easily collapsible after being built. Sure, that would be a lot more work and development on their part, but because of the way they are, I think in the distant future, sadly, I can see these things in the garbage, I hate to say it. They just take up too much room compared to how much entertainment they give me. Sure, I have an attachment to them because I built these things, but the games they're associated with, while cool their first time around, are just too crazy shallow. You get the extent of them after one play session. But don't take that as, oh, people will hate this thing, Nintendo Labo is dumb, stupid, and dumb. No, I actually think this thing is genius in a lot of ways. It uses the Switch console in ways I don't think anybody ever imagined. It's fun to build these things, it offers so much potential for creativity to shine through, and the games can be fun, albeit incredibly short. I'm just saying that the games are too short to warrant all this stuff taking up so much room. Overall, Nintendo Labo is incredibly cool and promising. It's not for everybody, but that's okay. It's primarily meant for those... what are they called? These things. The video game industry would be boring without Nintendo doing stuff like this. Don't lambast it just because it's not your thing. I'd really like to see Nintendo throw in more stuff in terms of the play portions of Labo, but I don't think Nintendo ever made that a big priority to make the games replayable or interesting. Labo is about the journey, not the destination. The fact that you can play a small game with something you made isn't the cool thing. It's that you made something that you can play a game with. The make and discover aspects are the star of the show here. I just really wish Nintendo put more into the play section as well. Well, that was a fun 5 hours. I think it's a good idea to check and see how the cardboard industry is doing now, damn it. This industry fluctuates like crazy. I'm broke. I guess I'll just bribe the guy at the gas station $20 to give me the winning lottery ticket.